Okay, looks like we're starting another week. We got another weekend behind us, and it's all good. We'll get a couple people on here and we'll see. Uh, do an audio check. Looks like the audio is okay. Liquid Gal, hello there. And Liquid Gal, just doing an audio check with you to see if it's good. It looks like it is. Get a couple more people on here. We can get rolling. There's Lynn, P. Lynn, and then M2. Right behind. 5x5, right on. That's good to know. Okay. Wow. The Western countries are rising up finally. And this is going on, let's see, Australia, the UK, well, Ireland too, of course. I guess that's part of the UK, but England and Ireland, Scotland too, I heard. And looks like France wants to toss out Macron. And not sure what's happening in Germany right now, besides they're knocking off a few of the opposition party members from the Alternative for Deutschland, the AfD. I think it's they're up to 7 now, or 8. I've lost count. But it's just a coincidence, right? Seems there's an election coming up there, and the opposition is somehow just dropping off. Literally. So sharp. And fortunately, it hasn't happened here, and it never happened in the U.S. The U.S. doesn't. I mean, it's getting pretty rocky down there with them Democrats. You don't know what they're going to pull. And here we've got our issues too, of course. What I wanted to start with. This is I want to do just a couple of minutes. It's a 20-minute video. I'm only going to do the first couple of minutes for now. And it's about the EU. The EU is falling apart, the European Union. And that's good news, right? And this video is posted by, you'll probably recognize her. You don't see her here. You'll just hear her voice, but it's Eva Vardingerbrock. And hey, I'll get that rolling here, and it's just for, like I say, a little bit to show you what the general consensus is with the EU. So I'll bring it up, kill my mic, and where is it here?
Stand exposed, their confidence shaken, their carefully constructed facade beginning to crumble under the weight of undeniable reality. For decades, they assured us that their project was for the good of all. That centralization and ever-expanding control from Brussels was the path to peace and prosperity. They promised us stability, but they delivered chaos. They told us that unity would make us stronger, but they stripped our nations of sovereignty. They promised freedom, but they have given us censorship, surveillance, and a suffocating political correctness that silences anyone who dares to dissent. What we are witnessing today is not the flourishing of a united Europe, but the unraveling of a system that has placed itself above the people it claims to serve. The crisis of the European elite is not just political, it is moral. It is the revelation that the very institutions they built, the very mechanisms they have relied on to consolidate power, no longer carry legitimacy in the eyes of ordinary citizens. Across the continent, from the villages of France to the cities of Germany, from the towns of Poland to the borders of Italy, people are waking up to the truth that they have been lied to. They are realizing that the freedoms handed down through generations have been bartered away, piece by piece, in exchange for false promises of safety and progress. What was once unthinkable has become reality. Europeans are beginning to see their leaders, not as protectors, but as betrayers. And this realization terrifies those in power. They cannot control it. They cannot legislate it away. The shock we see on the faces of Europe's ruling class is the shock of rulers who sense that their grip is loosening.
So that is basically happening in the Western countries here. Like I say, Australia, England, Ireland, Scotland, hopefully Canada next weekend on the 13th of September in Toronto. There's a big rally. If anybody's in Ontario that can make it, that's good. If not, go online. Go on X is probably where you're going to get the live streams. YouTube also, but probably more so on X. Share. Because if you can't attend, then we'll just get the message out. I obviously won't be going to Toronto or Ottawa. I will be checking out my local legislature building to see if anybody shows up. And that is on Monday the 15th. That's the one in Ottawa. Hopefully it's big. I think the people are more than fed up. People that were involved with the convoy, I'm sure some of those will probably, if they're not too far away to travel, they're probably going to be there. Time will tell. They're hardened, seasoned protesters. They know how to do it and have fun, get their message across. This time they're not dealing with Trudeau, they're dealing with Carney. Carney is no better than Trudeau. He might even be worse. Remember, he was advising Trudeau. So we'll see how this plays out. We'll have Toronto should give us an idea on Saturday to see what type of turnout they get there, what type of opposition. I don't expect to see opposition in Ottawa, but it could happen in Toronto. So hopefully it doesn't go sideways. Now, there's we started our downward spiral when Trudeau got elected 3 times. Unbelievable. And we've been going downhill very fast since then. I just wanted I wanted to bring up a couple of videos from 2015. This is the Trudeau, Harper, and Angry Tom in their debates. Now, this is only a 2-minute clip too, also. So, but this is the beginning of the end of Canada. This was the beginning of the end of a lot of the Western countries, and Trudeau was full on. So I'm going to bring this one here up. This acts kind of weird on me at times, this old computer. So it takes a little while. I got to crank it to get her to go. Maybe slap it around a bit on the side, wake it up. But anyways, we will, here it goes.
It has demonstrated over the past.
So I will bring this back. I'm sorry for Trudeau to have to listen to him for 2 minutes. I know you just as well soon forget about him. But I want to show you a couple of these short clips down memory lane that we just as well forget. But hey, buckle up, because here's Trudeau. He's back.
It has demonstrated over the past weeks that in the case of refugees, Canada is not doing enough. And this is something that Mr. Harper has unfortunately done a number of times. He likes to talk about standing up against tyrants and dictators and against terrorists, but you know who stands country, not naive, making sure we're doing security right, but not using it as an excuse to do less than we should, than the vast majority of Canadians, including mayors and premiers, feel we should.
Mr. Harper, let's try and bring it back to the economy.
Yeah, well, let me just correct the record on a couple of things.
Refugees are about the economy, David.
Was said about refugees. First of all, the fact of the matter is, we have not taken away health care from immigrants and refugees. On the contrary, the only time we've removed it is where we have clearly bogus refugee claimants who have been refused and turned down. We do not offer them a better health care plan than the ordinary Canadian can receive. I think that's
not true,
something that
Mr.
most
Harper.
new and existing and old stock Canadians agree with. On the issue of refugees, this remains one of the largest countries in the world in terms of refugee resettlement, including from
That's not true,
Iraq.
Mr. Harper.
I have said we will bring in more, but what I've said we will not do. These guys would have had in the last 2 weeks us throwing open our borders and literally hundreds of thousands of people coming without any kind of security check or documentation.
That's
Some other
not true,
countries
Mr.
have done.
Harper.
That would have been an enormous mistake.
See,
We're following a
Mr.
balanced
Harper
approach. We're
plays
bringing more refugees.
fears all the
We're
time.
providing
Fears
more
of
humanitarian
others,
support.
fears of different
And
communities.
we're taking
We have a
on
prime minister
terrorists
who
are
prefers
bringing
to
the
pander to
refugees.
fears.
So Trudeau is so rude, right? Here he was. He started out pushing the fear, right? Well, actually, he started out lying, and he never stopped all the time he was in there. And he's doing the same thing. Anyways, so that was the beginning in 2015 when Trudeau won that election. Horrible as it is. Does anybody remember Alan Kurdi? Throw that name out there if you can. I'd be surprised. I remembered the first name. I was trying to remember the last. I had to look it up. And anyways, Alan Kurdi. I'm going to see if anybody remembers him. I'm going to leave that one with you for a minute because while you're kind of jogging your memory about him, there's one more clip, another 2-minute one, with just Harper, no Trudeau in it. So you don't have to suffer through that. Once this loads up here. And Alan Kurdi was a worldwide sensation. So, and it wreaked a lot of havoc in Canada. Trudeau played it like a fiddle.
The United Nations makes no distinction between religions when it comes to measuring the vulnerability of refugees. Your government does. Why? And why don't you trust the UN's selection and screening process as evidenced by your government's decision to call for an audit? And whose idea was it to triage based on religious minorities? Was it yours? And what are you afraid of?
I know that we recently, in the changes we made, we took out the necessity of the UN designation, primarily because of slowing down the process, and that had been widely called for by groups in the refugee area. But the obvious reason that we prioritize vulnerable religious and ethnic groups, we prioritize the most vulnerable people in terms of our refugee acceptance policy, and vulnerable, the minority religious and ethnic groups in the Syrian-Iraq area are in fact being targeted by ISIS and its allies for extermination. And that is why we put a higher priority. It's not exclusionary, but obviously why that is an important factor in making our refugee selections.
So the audio was pretty low on that, but that was basically, where am I here? That was basically the media pushing that narrative too, that you're not taking the Muslim people in, you're giving Christians preference over the Muslims. Well, that wasn't true. I mean, in a way he was, because they were the ones that are getting their right? And so then the freeloaders all jumped on board too, and the rest is history, right? So now back to Alan Kurdi. Alan Kurdi was the young boy that was found on the beach in Turkey. He had drowned, and it was there's a little story behind that. But anyways, he basically looked like he was positioned, his body was, and used as a prop, which is really macabre and gross. But when they're trying to deceive people, they don't care about that. It's all about deception. So, what? And then Trudeau jumped on the bandwagon, right? Trudeau had to bring his B grade acting skills in and put them to work so he could try to pull at the people's heartstrings and try to gain votes, popularity. No surprise, they're still doing it. So here's this is another one that's just a couple of minutes long, but just to remind you of what they put us through.
This week, parents across this country have watched their kids go off to school with their usual fears, certainly in my case, of whether they'd like their new teacher, whether they'd get along with their new classmates, whether they'd be ready for the challenges that the new school year will bring. And like so many parents, we take for granted the extraordinary country we live in that allows us to have those as our primary fears and concerns for our children. Parents, individuals all around the world, were horrified yesterday to see the pictures of young children washed up on the beach in Turkey. How much more terrible it is for Canadians to wake up this morning and realize that this was a family that was seeking to join its extended family in Canada and saw itself refused. All different stripes of government in Canada have stepped up in times of crisis to accept to our country people fleeing for their lives. Whether it was my father's government in the early 70s, accepting thousands of Ugandan refugees, or Joe Clark's government welcoming in tens of thousands of boat people. Canadians get it. But this is about doing the right thing. It's about living up to the values that we cherish as a country. And it's also an extraordinary way to continue to grow our country as people build new lives and new futures for themselves as their children here. Canada must immediately accept 25,000 Syrian refugees, stop dragging its heels, and understand that we must once again be the country that we like to think of ourselves as. This is something that goes beyond politics. It's about who we are and what we want to continue to be.
His voice goes up and down there because it's for theatrics, right? And he pretended to be like holding back his tears and all that stuff, right? So he played that the same when the lead singer from the Tragically Hip died. The same thing. And the phony tears, the Trudeau tears, right? This one here is from Sky News Australia. It's on Alan Kurdi's father. So,
A woman who was reported.
this one here is only like 45 seconds long. The audio is good because she's not doing it for theatrics. She's actually reporting. So, yeah. Alan Kurdi's distraught dad, and I seen a comment on there that father's sister or whatever is in Vancouver, a hairdresser, and that's right, yeah. And she played it up big time too.
A woman who was reportedly on the same boat as the Syrian boy whose body was found washed up on a Turkish beach says his father is a people smuggler who begged her not to dob him in. Zainab Abbas says Abdullah Kurdi lied to the world after the image of his dead 3-year-old son sparked a global outpouring of support for Syrian refugees. After the tragedy, Mr. Kurdi told the media he took over steering the boat after the captain panicked and jumped ship. But Ms. Abbas has told Network 10 Mr. Kurdi was the driver of the boat, and the man she paid to book her passage told her it would be safe because the driver was taking his wife and 2 children.
So, and then the rest is history after that, right? The immigration was never ending under Trudeau. Still hasn't ended. And then there was this tweet. This is the last one here that I'm going to show. The famous tweet by Trudy that created Roxham Road. And a lot of the bad feelings between President Trump and Justin Trudeau. And for good reason. Trump was trying to control the border. He didn't want a bunch of terrorists coming into the United States. Trudeau had no problem letting terrorists come into Canada. As a matter of fact, odds are if they maybe damaged or eradicated an American soldier, they'd be a millionaire. So word was out. And the door was open. And here's this another 2-minute clip, and this is the last one I'm going to bring up here, I believe, for now anyways.
From the recent wave of asylum seekers we've seen in Quebec this week to migrants who risked their lives walking over the border in Manitoba in the middle of winter, it's a common refrain. Many made their way to Canada in part because they heard Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was encouraging them to come. Even today, as the PM visited the Glengarry Highland Games, he again called Canada a beacon of hope.
We are an open and compassionate country, but we have a strong system that we follow.
You cannot be here.
The migrants are illegally crossing into Canada from the U.S., and Trudeau isn't directly discouraging them.
There's border checkpoints and border controls that we need to make sure are respected. This is a situation that we are dealing with, but certainly I would encourage people to go through the proper processes.
In the past, Trudeau has repeatedly branded Canada as open. There was the image of Trudeau warmly welcoming Syrians, personally giving the children teddy bears and snowsuits. And in January, he famously tweeted, "Canadians will welcome you," after President Donald Trump's first travel ban was introduced. Border guards in Quebec are calling what they see a crisis. Politicians in Ottawa call it a fluctuation in numbers.
The number
so in the first safe country that they have, and if they want to do so in Canada, they have to show up at a port of entry.
Still, Huson says that the government will process all applications according to the law, adding that the Immigration and Refugee Board will try to hear all of those cases quickly. Hannah Thibodeau, CBC News, Ottawa.
An immigration minister from Somalia. Yeah, never forget that. He said, Hussein said that if he never got elected again, he'd just take his pension and he'd retire in Somalia and live like a king. It's probably where he is right now. Good riddance. We're paying for him. Now, speaking of pensions, government pensions, that is, I see that Jacinda Ardern, you know who that is, the one that used to be the Prime Minister of New Zealand, she got not only the pension, she got 30 million plus. Not sure how much more, but at minimum $30 million. And apparently that came in because of the however many she got to do that, she got paid. So it was 30 million is what I just heard this morning. And but they think it was probably more, but they know there was 30 million. So that kind of leaves the question here, doesn't it? Like, okay, what about the Theresa Tam? Did she get her $30 million? I think there's more Canadians than New Zealanders. The Kiwis, their population's not as big as Canada, so maybe she got, I don't know, 45 million, 50 million? Who knows? What about all these provincial health ministers that all decided to resign after all that crap was over with? How much did they get paid for pushing that? They got paid off for that. Not only did the health ministers, what about the premiers? Eh? Remember Trudeau? How much did he get? Remember Trudeau saying, I got 10 for every Canadian. So you make sure you get them, and you get them all. I got 10 for each of you. So, how much did he get? A greasy little piece of crap. He ended up back on social media today because of Ken Dryden's death, and man, the comments. I think there was over 500 comments or something like that. And I don't think I've seen one good one. I enjoyed going through them. I never got through them all, but they were good. There were some really good ones on there. And they were very disgusted. But remember Trudeau 1. Trudeau 1 was famous for his incident in Canadian National Railway when he came across Vancouver, from Vancouver heading east. They had to stop in Salmon Arm and hose the train down before he could come on into Banff because it was covered in eggs and tomatoes and everything else that people had that they could throw at it. And he came through Salmon Arm and he was giving everybody the middle finger. The Trudeaus have a legacy, and it's not good. People hate them. The Trudeau statue at the University of Montreal should be gone. If they ever make a statue of Justin Trudeau, maybe he should be on his knees in front of maybe Macron or one of them, right? So one that he cuddles up with when he sees them. That'd be the only fitting one I could think of. Yeah. So the EU is going down, European Union. That's going to fail. That's good to see. UK, England, Ireland, it's going to be a big swing of power in the people. I listened to the new British anthem today, or the protest anthem rather. It's good. I forget something about Britannia. I forget the name. Pretty good. So you'll be hearing that a lot probably. What I have here. But anyways, they have destroyed our democracy in all these countries. It is gone. There's people that still support this. They don't. Some are waking up slowly out of the coma, but there's still a lot that aren't. I see one guy here I've known for years. He's got a elbows up sticker on the back of his vehicle. I haven't run into him yet. I'm going to tell him that. You're getting a lot of comments on your sticker. Are you getting a lot of people laughing or anything, or what are you getting? I don't know why they're so. I guess media is powerful. It still is. We're paying for it. A lot of stuff is coming to light. I see Senator Ron Johnson in the U.S., a Republican. He's questioning 9/11 now. Wouldn't that be interesting? 9/11, an inside job, as Alex Jones said. I forget the movie that Alex made. I watched that. That's what it was called, Inside Job, I believe. It's one of when I first started. Well, I've been watching Jones a little bit, but before that, I guess, a few years before that, but I never clued into Jones until the internet got going, and he was one of the first ones I started watching. We got, the other thing is, too, we got to look back at the Trudeau years when he brought the old SS soldier into Parliament. Well, he denied it, of course, and said it was Gould that did it, but they were all in on it. Very disappointing when all 338 stood up and recognized him and cheered. I'm going to say that the other parties were duped, but that's not an excuse because they should know their history. As soon as they said that he fought the Russians in World War II, they should have instantly sat down. But they stayed on their feet. So that's a little bit of history too, but there was a dirty trick by the Liberals. But it just goes to show that because Freeland is still so wrapped up with the Azov Battalion, which is basically the new SS. So, and pouring our money into that country. Putin said he was going into the denazified place, right? So, I watched another video. I don't know if I have it here or not. Oh, yes, I forgot. The other thing here is Prime Minister Ishiba from Japan resigned today. Said breaking news. This is 10 hours ago. In Japan, Japan's Prime Minister, who recently stated that he wanted to import millions of Africans, Kurds, and Muslims to, quote, make Japan more tolerant, unquote, has announced his resignation today. I don't think they practice hara-kiri anymore in Japan, but I would say he just did political hara-kiri. And he's gone. The people were so fed up. I forgot to say that too, that Japan is on the protests are up now. So they've had it up. Can you imagine millions of Africans and Muslims and what were the other ones? Kurds, Africans, Kurds, and Muslims to make Japan more tolerant. Japan doesn't have a whole lot of land. A lot of mountains there too, so I mean they don't have a lot of land. And they kind of like their country the way it is. So they kind of got the pressure on that guy, and he bailed. So good on them. There was this is, I don't know if I can bring this up. No, I don't seem to be getting any video on this one. This was Australia. I don't know why that's happening. This is Japan. This is Japan here. There's no audio, so I'll just show you the image. That's against mass immigration. Funny how the MSM don't call them racist like those of us in the West when we say no to mass immigration. Yeah, they don't say that, do they? It's just, I guess the Japanese can't be racist. We're not racist either. We just want our country back. We want the freeloaders out, and we want it stopped. We've had enough. I don't know why I'm losing my video on these ones. But it's kind of weird. I can try a refresh on it. There's a guy here's a 20-year-old, half Japanese, half Indian. He spent first 16 years of his life in India. And he said, now he's back in Japan, he says, these folks know how to live with each other in India, but they don't know how to live with each other, live in other countries. They bring their old traditions with them, their values, whatever they are, and it just don't fly. It don't work. So we know we're experiencing it here. And I don't know what's going on in this old computer. The videos start just disappearing on me. But anyways, yeah, that's what's going on around there. Australia, massive turnouts, and their ones coming up are, they got them posted. And every province in Australia, or state, or whatever it is, I think it's states. Yeah. This is the Australians here. See if it'll come up. It's not a good image, but it gives you a rough idea of what's going on there. Australians are finally catching up to their brothers in Europe as protests erupt across the country demanding an end to mass immigration. Australians have had enough. The Aussies say, no, that's it, we're done, no more. Shut it down. Deport, deport, deport. So, that's the only way to deal with it, is they have to go. This is a little better image here. It'll show. This is more like it. And these streets are packed, elbow to elbow. So that's what we want to see, folks. That's what we want to see in Toronto. We want to see that in Ottawa. See it in every capital city across Canada, or at least in front of every city hall. If you're not in the capitals, go to the city halls. It's going to be interesting to see, because just think about this, the Canadian flag. A Canadian flag is a symbol of hate. Those convoy people waving that flag, they're all neo-Nazi guys, and they're all, you know what I mean, right? They're haters, and they're using that flag as a hate symbol. And well, Carney comes in, and it's elbows up. Oh, we'll get our flags out. Everybody get your flags out, and get your elbows up. What's going to be when we have a protest? It's going to be flag up, flag down, elbows up, elbows, I don't know. Yeah. Sharp, you gotta apply the red end sign. That's right, I gotta order one in. I don't have one. Put it with my flag collection. So, Bill, yeah, Pierce's hit his elbow surgically removed. Did you see the latest? I don't know if I can bring this, oh, I might be able to bring this Pierre one up. It was his latest one there today or earlier today anyways.
The Seinfeld summer.
No, it's funny, I can't, something going on with this old computer. It's not showing the video, it's just the audio. But you don't have to see him. I can play the audio. I can do that.
From Mark Carney, a big show about nothing. You know, I think specifically about George Costanza. You remember George Costanza? He was a legend. George Costanza had this great episode where he had this fancy, high-paying job with a corner office, and he didn't do any work, like literally none, but he wanted to look busy, so he would storm up and down the hallways carrying file folders. He would leave the lights on in his car in front of the office building on the weekend, even though he wasn't there. He would yell into the phone, even though no one was on the other end of the line. And they kept paying him because he looked so busy. I have to admit, Mark Carney has looked really busy this summer. He's been flying off to Europe to sign declarations of intent that actually mean absolutely nothing. He's been holding roundtables with other politicians. You've seen politicians patting each other in the back, congratulating themselves on all the excellent meetings they've been holding. There have been letters written to ministers that then get leaked to media and are reported with great fanfare on front pages everywhere. My goodness, he's almost as busy and as useless as George Costanza. It has been a big show about nothing. Nothing is getting done under Mark Carney. Everything is getting worse.
Yeah, Carney, Costanza. That's about it. Making a lot of noise, not doing anything. Except giving money away. He likes to do that. So,
But this really...
we'll see what happens with Parliament when it comes back on the 15th. And I'm not holding my breath on anything there. So, Lawrence brought me two wings of the same bird. But we don't have a lot of choice, do we? Lawrence. Definitely not the NDP. So, I don't know what to say there. It is what it is. But we can only hope for something better. We know what Carney is doing. We have a lot of concerns about digital currencies. The U.S. is bringing out a stable coin. It's being used in Africa right now. I'm not sure what country it is that's using it. It's being used in Africa as a trial because there's places that they don't have banks because they're so rural. But apparently they can get some internet somehow, so they can do some transactions, and they're using the American stable coin. Stable coin can be programmed, it can be canceled, it can be all the things the CBDC can. It's just by another name. So beware when if we get a change of government and they say we're not bringing in CBDCs, but we do really need a stable coin so we can do transactions faster and more efficient. Right now, I don't think that the U.S. stable coin is for general population use. I'm not sure on that, but I don't think it is. I think it's for commercial use, but I could be wrong on that because they said it was for rural areas. I don't know how much commercial stuff's going on. I have never been to Africa, to any of the countries. I have no desire to go there, so I don't know. But it's just something to keep an eye out for that. If they try to pull that over and say, no, this is not a CBDC, this is a stable coin. So if we can keep our cash, how long we'll be able to keep that for before they say, no, we're not going to take it. Or maybe there'll be another, the equivalent of the last plague that came around. And they'll say cash is dirty, we can't take that. You got to use your stable coins. We don't know what the future holds, of course. But there's a lot of bad things in the future and hopefully some good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, I do have some good news. Maybe, possibly. I hope. I was looking at the Fraser Institute, and lo and behold, if I can find it here, if they haven't, is that, I got to try to find it here, bring it up. And it's on the province of New Brunswick, one of the poorest provinces. Actually, it is the poorest right now, I think. Used to be Newfoundland. And where did it go? The federal provincial debt interest payment is going to cost each Canadian between $2,000 and $3,500, depending on their province. That's always nice to know, huh? And it's racking up more and more as we go. Fraser Institute, they changed things here. See if I can find it. So, because there was an article. Well, maybe this is it here. This is from August 14th. It's a 3-minute read, approximately. It says, Premier Blaine Higgs and Brian Glant reduced per-person debt in New Brunswick, returning it to levels not seen since the early 1990s. I don't think this is the article, though. Because now it's... Yeah, it doesn't go up to our present one, the Susan Holt. So that's not the one I was looking for. It was on here all day, and then now they've changed it. Maybe down here. Where'd it go? Don't see it. The average income for people in New Brunswick is $35,000 a year. It's average wage, $35,000. Lowest in Canada. One of the highest taxed, too. But this was the good news. Fracking is a win-win for workers and the environment in New Brunswick. I think I know I discussed this before about the trillions of cubic meters or whatever of natural gas that is here that we can't touch. Well, they're taking another look at it, and lo and behold, knocked me right off my chair when I seen this. Wayne Long. Wayne Long is a Liberal MP, hardcore Liberal MP. He's been in politics for quite a while, holding his seat in St. John, New Brunswick, St. John Kennebecasis. He's a Liberal MP. He waded into the long-standing debate on natural gas development in New Brunswick recently, bluntly telling Brunswick News, "We need to frack." Fracking refers to hydraulic fracturing, a process used to recover underground natural gas deposits. Long is right, and it's important that New Brunswickers understand the economic opportunity inherent in natural gas while separating fact from fiction when it comes to risks. I didn't think I'd see this until Alberta and Regina or Saskatchewan separated, and then it would be a necessity. But here we are, talking about it. Estimates of New Brunswick's Frederick Brook Shale Formation, a large underground deposit stretching from roughly Hampton to Sackville, that's a pretty good run actually, suggest the province sits on approximately 80 trillion cubic feet of recoverable natural gas. At current market prices, the total value of this resource, if fully recovered, ranges from $186 billion to $221 billion. To be sure, such estimates are inherently uncertain and would materialize over a long period of time. However, even the province's own estimates project $21 billion in investment with a moderate level of gas development. Economic opportunities of this scale are rare and badly needed in New Brunswick, according to a recent comparison of employment earnings. Well, here we go. New Brunswickers had the second lowest median earnings, $32,175. That's just above poverty level. That's our median earnings here. That's among residents of all 10 Canadian provinces and 50 U.S. states. According to data published by Stats Canada, wages in oil and gas are the highest among 22 categories of industry in Canada, topping $125,000 per year. The people here wouldn't know what to do with that much money. They'd think they were millionaires. While a modest level of gas development has occurred in New Brunswick around the Sussex area, this resource is largely untapped. One of the main reasons is the moratorium on fracking implemented by the Gallant government in 2014. That was a Liberal government, of course. Said never will any fracking take place in New Brunswick. Well, Gallant, this ban is not supported by the facts. In a wide-ranging view of scientific literature published by the Fraser Institute last year, my colleague Kenneth Green found that fracking does indeed carry risks, but these risks are manageable. For example, air pollution and water contamination are important factors that must be closely monitored when fracking is in place. Yet, jurisdictions across North America safely recover natural gas while managing these risks. In the process, they grow their economies and boost the incomes of workers. More workers, more jobs, more taxes. Everybody's happy. Moreover, development of natural gas carries environmental benefits, since the emissions produced by the consumption of natural gas are much lower than dirtier fuels such as coal. Another recent study found that if Canada were to double its natural gas production and export the additional supply to Asia as liquefied natural gas, which we just happen to have a plant right here in St. John, New Brunswick. I worked on it. It's a beautiful LNG plant. The liquefied natural gas to displace emission-intensive coal in power generation, global emissions could be reduced by up to 630 million tons, that's metric tons, annually. For context, this reduction would be the equivalent of 89% of Canada's total greenhouse gas emissions. As New Brunswick's natural gas opportunity comes back into focus, the facts are clear. The province has an enormous economic opportunity to join the growing number of jurisdictions developing their natural gas resources. Fracking represents a win-win for both workers and the environment in New Brunswick. Now, that being said, Wayne Long, hardcore Liberal, Susan Holt, a wacky little Liberal premier we've got. How is that going to work with her? And how's that going to work with Carney? I feel a little more discontent in the Carney cabinet. Wayne Long was one of the ones that said, I'm not going to run again, you know, because Trudeau is still prime minister. Trudeau resigned. Oh, well, I might run again. People, my constituents want me to run again, so I'll run again. Yeah, right? Get back in there and get some more of the taxpayer tax dollars from us. So, anyways, might have some industry going here. That would be a change. Like I say, that LNG plant, it was built to be reversed. There was supposed to be a pipeline coming into there, but that got stopped. And so they had to use it for importing natural gas, liquefied natural gas, and then vaporizing it. But it can be switched over very easily to liquefy the gas, and the port is right there to load it onto the ships and send it on its way over to Europe, and dollars will keep coming in. Win-win. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. So, yeah. So that might be good news. I said maybe. It all depends, but it's going to put the premier in kind of a tough spot. She was bragging today about something like $10 million, I think it was, on recovering food. Recovering food, folks. Food that was close to being not really edible, but if they can get it and freeze it, then they can get it out, distribute it to people for food. So well, they better hope they don't get anybody sick, you know. Like, this is desperation. The Liberal and their desperation, you know, unreal. We'll see how that works, but they say it's free food now for people, but taxpayers paying $10 million, so I don't know where the free part comes in. Maybe it's freeloaders for the students, maybe, that are international students that are raiding the food banks here. Who knows? But they're going to get food that is borderline unedible. Rescue it, freeze it, and for $10 million. Why don't they just buy the food if they got if they're taking $10 million of our taxpayers' money? Why don't they just buy good food and hand it out to the people? They're patting themselves on the back for this. They don't realize how stupid they look. And then there was the she's 5'0", and there was the lounge singer there, the MP for Fredericton here. Can't think of his name right off, but he's standing beside her, and he's about over 6 foot tall. He's there for the photo op. Yeah, what a joke. And they'll probably say, no, we don't really want that natural gas stuff. You know, we kind of like to go with, like, Nova Scotia, like Tim Houston with the offshore windmills and the losing proposition instead. That seems to be the Liberal way. So, but anyways, there's a chance for us to maybe, because she came in with there was a surplus left of, I think it was a couple $100 million. And now, I don't know what the debt is now. I think it's well over about 600 million, but I think it's up more than that now. I think we're going over 1 billion. Actually, she's driving us into the ground. So Liberals do best. That's all they can do. So, Uh, you vote in a Liberal government, and that's what you get. So we got a Liberal premier, and we got a that's a stooge, and we got another one for prime minister, and we got conservative premiers that are more liberal than conservative. Look at Doug Ford dumping out a bottle of Crown Royal. He couldn't even do that. That's how useless he is. He couldn't even manage to dump out a bottle of whiskey. Still had the pour plug in there, and he did not take it out. He's trying to shake it out like a stooge. And it's Canadian whiskey, so now he's punishing the Canadians. He just so too stupid to even realize what he's doing. Ontario's got to get rid of him. And Tim Houston in Nova Scotia, who's another red Tory that, you know, he's all windmills and hot air. Anyways, got Daniel Smith in Alberta and Scott Moe in Saskatchewan, and that pretty much covers it, eh? BC screwed with EB, and Wobbly Canoe there in Manitoba. I bet he could dump the whiskey out of the bottle, no problem. He wouldn't even spill a drop. Well, anyways, and then Quebec, that's another story. PEI is a cute little liberal province, always has been. Newfoundland, well, they're holding their own. They got some oil. They're going to get some gas going out of there, I guess, apparently. So, it is what it is. Lawrence Beckford's major league loser. Yeah, no shite. Let's see. What else we got here? Who we got on here? Lots of smoke out there, Phil. Wildfires right here. We're getting pretty good rains now, so fire index is probably pretty low here. Emma is a YouTuber called My Self-Reliance. True Canadian. Okay, I've never seen that channel. And what is that cat's name that is doing the, I don't know if he's the organizer for the protests. See if I can find him here. He's putting out 1 or 2 videos a day. It's a small channel, but he's getting a message across anyways, if I can find him. I can usually tell by the thumbnail. Their thumbnails are kind of their sign. You can probably tell as soon as you see it who it is. Where'd he go? So we'll see how that works out. Anyways, I'm just hoping that it's good weather, good times, good people, good turnout. Yeah, strange. He's always there popping up, and when I try to find him, I can't find him. I spent too much time looking for him, but he's what the heck is his channel? I hate doing this. No, can't find him. I was trying to find him last week too, and I couldn't find him. He's comes up all the time, but except when I'm looking for him. Fight for Canada is the channel. So, yeah, Fight for Canada. This one here, Carney with a for sale sign. Canada's Liberals are traitorous sellouts. Enough. So, he's in Ontario, so he will be live streaming. I'm pretty sure of that. I think he would be, or if not, he'd be definitely posting videos anyways. So, if you want to mark him down, write that down. Fight for Canada. It should be an easy one to remember. I don't know why I couldn't remember it. Must have something to do with age. But yeah. So anyways, check him out. Okay, folks. I think I'm going to shut it down. I appreciate y'all being here. Busy day tomorrow and next day on the truck. So, Saturday, Toronto. Sunday, YouTube. Monday, Ottawa. So, and that first question period is going to be a blast because the Conservatives are going in blazing. Okay, folks. You all have a good one. A wonderful week ahead. And we'll do it again next week. Bye for now. God bless.